Hi everyone, my name is Victoria Fernandez and welcome to my channel. I live to inspire mental health. If you're not already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I talk about mental health each week and my experience with bipolar disorder. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about different things that you should do when you're feeling depressed. So I've never actually made a video exactly on what to do if you're depressed, and here are some of the things that I did or I think are very helpful for when you're feeling this way. So basically the first one that I think is that if you're starting to have thoughts of depression, if you can't get out of bed, if the world is doomed, if you maybe have suicidal thoughts, if you're sad and you don't know why, maybe it's time to go see a doctor and be diagnosed. Why? Because sometimes people can go through depression and it can be situational, something bad happened in your life, so you're very sad. But then there's other times that you just can't control anything. So it's a different type of sadness that it's so deep that you can't move, that you'll stare at the wall for a whole day and not do anything, that you don't understand why you're sad, that maybe your moods are all over the place. And this can show that you probably need to go to a doctor, maybe a psychiatrist, to diagnose you with a mental illness. And why do I say this? Because sometimes, we think that if we don't go to a doctor and we do not get diagnosed with anything, it'll make whatever we have disappear. But that is not the truth. That is not the reality, because we can't really run away from something that we have, especially if it's mental. So what happens a lot of the times is that it's very difficult and we don't really want to face reality when we go to a doctor. So, but that is a very important thing to do. Why? Because once you're diagnosed with something, once a professional tells you, hey, you have depression, or hey, you have bipolar disorder, whatever it is, then it is the perfect time to battle it out, to be able to overcome it, to find solutions. Because if you don't know if you have anything, you're just feeling terrible, but you're too afraid to actually go get help, it's going to be very hard to get anywhere, to get better, and it's going to take longer, and it might not have the best outcomes. So that's one of the things that I would say that is very, very critical, very important, and it is to go find professional help, somebody who's going to diagnose you. Now, that does not mean that you're going to be medicated. It could. You might be medicated. It all depends on your conversation with your doctor, your diagnosis, how they see you, where you are. So that's that. So that's my number one thing that I believe is crucial in dealing with depression, and beyond that, a mental illness, because a lot of the symptoms for a lot of mental illnesses is depression. So it could be an underlying symptom to something maybe big. My number two is something I have been talking about a lot lately, and that is finding a psychologist. So you don't have to have a mental illness to find a psychologist. You don't have to, be depressed necessarily. You could just need them or use them because you're having to deal with something in your life. And honestly, I've said this before, I feel like everybody should really have one, because it is a great way of overcoming obstacles and talking things through and understanding yourself. But anyways, so when it comes to being depressed and stuff, sometimes, if you have mental illness, sometimes you might have really good days, really bad days, or a long period of bad days, but then you're like, oh, I'm fine, I shouldn't be going to it. My number one thing that I say by psychologist is be consistent. Of course, that is after finding the right person, the person that speaks to you, the person that you feel comfortable with, that you feel that can help you. And it's not always going to be easy, but talking about these things brings self-awareness out, and it helps you overcome these obstacles. And it's something that is constant. When your feelings aren't constant, but you have somebody who's been keeping track of everything that you've been telling them, and how you're doing with your medications, how you're feeling on a weekly basis. Maybe sometimes you might have to see them several times a week. Who knows? It depends on what it is. But one of my biggest tips is definitely being with a psychologist constantly. I see mine every week, even though I am not depressed anymore. And that helps me overcome different things in life, my obstacles, everything. It just helps me be a better version of myself. So with that is what I want to say, that a psychologist is very important, and especially being consistent with one. Number three would be that you talk to your loved ones, to the people around you, to your best friend, to your parents, to your siblings, to the people that surround you each day. So this is going to be really hard probably because there is a lot of stigma, and sometimes people don't believe your symptoms. They believe that you're lying, you're manipulating, maybe that what you're going through is not an actual thing, or maybe there's fear that other people will find out. Whatever it is, it might be really hard to talk to them, and that's when I think that the psychologist comes in hand, because it helps you deal with that. But if you do decide to talk to your parents and your siblings, I mean, I believe that is something that you need to do, because people around you should be aware of what you're feeling. And one of the ways to lower the stigma is to guide them into resources. So like websites, for example, like NAMI. NAMI is a really great resource for articles about mental health and how to deal with children who have a mental illness, family member, whatever it is, guiding them towards those outlets where they can read about it. They can see that you're not the only one, that there's millions of people out there who are going through a mental illness, and that it's okay. Guiding them through what you're feeling. Maybe they won't understand it. They'll be like, get over it, or you're not really feeling this, or you're lying, or whatever it is. Guide them. Say, hey, I am not lying to you. There's no reason for me to lie to you about how I'm feeling. A lot of times when I would present arguments to other people, not about mental illnesses, it could just be about anything, I would be like, why would anybody want to be in pain? Why would anybody want to be suffering? People want to be happy. It is human nature that we want to be happy. We want to feel loved. We want to feel like we can succeed. So that is a kind of a way of touching them, right? Like making them feel that they can, how they can understand you. And I'll probably make a video about this more in depth later on. But basically that's one of the ways, showing them articles and stuff like that. So that is my number 3, because it is very important for the people around to kind of understand what you're going through, because they're the ones that are immediately there whenever you need something. And it is important for them to understand and be open, and we need to find ways to do that. For number 4, I would definitely say that something that helped me was finding things that distracted me. Because although I was going through a really difficult time, my most difficult times were the ones when I was by myself. Or when I would start talking about really deep stuff and they would just get me into like a whole tornado of negative thoughts or whatever. But my best moments were moments where I was with the people who I cared about, such as my friends, when I was laughing. I can't say that like everything was terrible, because there was moments that I was not thinking about my diagnosis. There was a lot of moments that I was thinking about my diagnosis, but there was moments that I wasn't, and there was moments that I felt good and happy. They were brief, but it is important to find them, to find those moments for you, to find those moments of happiness, of healthy happiness, to find those moments where you can talk to somebody who you care about, where you can go for a run, where you could play a board game, I don't know, just anything that makes you feel passionate. And that is because it gives you a distraction, and it kind of gives you this, I'm living for something, even though it's something small at the moment. Finally, for this video, I will make a part 2, but I'm gonna leave it with kind of the topic of finding your purpose, which is what this channel is about. I've talked about this before. I live to inspire mental health. Find your purpose, because finding my purpose helped save my life. Because finding your purpose gives you this sense of, I can do it, and there is something beyond this moment. And I will talk about that next week. So if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share it with somebody who you believe should watch this message. So with that, always remember that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and a bad day does not mean a bad life.